Africa. We can hardly move our bodies from this. How do we move goods and services? If you want to go to Algiers, for example, I was there last year conference. You have to go to Europe first before you head down to Algiers. But a straight flight from Nigeria, Abuja, to Algiers, it's about 3.5 hours. But then you go 6 hours to Istanbul, and then 2.5 hours to Algiers. So sometimes when people mention the African continental free trade area, which is such a huge opportunity for businesses, the first thing people say is, how do we do this when we can't even move ourselves across borders? How do we become businesses across borders when we can't even get visas to next door countries? I will first call the National Coordinator for Nigeria AfCFTA, Mr. Segun Awolowo, someone that I think that most exporters would know. He's well known in the public sector for great innovations at the Nigerian Export Processing Commission, and now he's been called to handle Nigeria's place at AfCFTA. So I'll call him up to tell us really about AfCFTA. 54 countries have signed on. And also, there's a pilot program called the Guided Trade Initiative, of which Nigeria has come onto. So he's going to come up and tell us about the vast opportunities, and afterwards, we'll have our panelists come up and tell us their stories about being on AfCFTA. So please, a round of applause for Mr. Segun Awolowo.
Thank you. Let me apologize on behalf of the NESG for the delay in starting this. But one thing I must point out to them, even though it's called the CEO Roundtable, it doesn't have to be round, though. Because they wasted so much trying to do a round table for us. So next time, it doesn't have to be round. It's just, that's what it says, the round table discussion. Today is about looking at issues really in a very difficult time in our economy. And I will be speaking on initiatives that can turn that around. My cup is always half full for Nigeria. I'm the perennial optimist. Always, I know that this country will transform itself, indeed this continent. So it's a privilege to set the contents for this critical discussion amongst leaders of companies that have seized the early opportunities in the GTI, that's the Guided Trade Initiative. We'll discuss more on that because the businesses are actually here. The theme of today's panel, Collaborative Action for Growth, Competitiveness, and Stability, could not be more relevant as Africa stands on the cusp of a transformative moment in its economic history. Let's focus on 3 issues. First, low African trade and turning the page with AfCFTA. Historically, inter-African trade has been dismally low, accounting for 16 to 80% of Africa's total trade. It's a stark contrast when compared to regions like Europe and Asia. This low level of trade amongst African nations is a significant economic challenge, primarily driven by fragmented markets, infrastructure bottlenecks, and non-tariff barriers. However, with the operationalization of AfCFTA, we are pleased to present a transformative opportunity to turn this page. The creation of AfCFTA is therefore a watershed moment in Africa's economic history. For Nigerian businesses, this is the time to engage more robustly in the continent's trade dynamics. The GTI offers us structured pathways to tap into new markets. Another thing I must talk on is unlocking value through continental supply chains. One of the most significant advantages of AfCFTA lies in the ability to integrate regional value chains. This will enable companies to source inputs from across the continent, fostering the kind of economic interdependence that drive growth, competitiveness, and resilience. I've always told my businesses and my exporters that even if you have to go and marry somebody in Cameroon, go and marry. Just trade. I don't mind. Even if you have to go and take your second wife or your second husband in another African country, do it as long as we are trading. Now, you can source raw materials from Ghana, Ethiopia, Kenya, while exporting those finished goods back to those same markets. When we look at it in the EU, at one time, England was importing bottled water from France. It was one of their biggest imports. And it was Perrier water and Evian water from France. And I was like, England sits on an island of water, and yet they're importing water from France. But they did not ban it. Why? Because they were also exporting other things to France. So that's the interdependence of continental supply chains. The AfCFTA rules of origin, which is very important to mention, they play a central role in promoting inter-African value chains, thereby ensuring that those products that benefit from this tariff treatment, preferential tariff treatment, are indeed made in Africa. It's very important because we don't want other countries to come and dump things on African countries, and then it comes to you that they must be made in Africa. Now, the other thing about this, it offers us that economic diversification that we've been seeking for. At one point, when our economy got to a level, we realized that for Nigeria, all our foreign exchange was coming from oil. 93% was from oil. And when oil prices crash, that's when you always have a problem in the economy. That cannot continue. I have raised this case so many times, calling for a zero oil policy for Nigeria. Because I strongly believe that Nigeria can compete and must survive in a world economy where she no longer trades oil. When I raised it, even people in government started saying, Mr. Olo, you are too ambitious. You are being audacious. I said, when do you want to be ambitious or audacious? You are not getting any income from your oil anymore. It's reduced. You are not even producing the oil anymore at the level that OPEC even gave you to do. So when do you want to look at other things? So this is where it's very important for us. I've written extensively, I've spoken extensively on this, but I think the NESG should be ready to consider this plan in a comprehensive manner. Now, why we're here today is to look at the success stories on AfCFTA going forward. And I'm so happy to acknowledge the achievements of Nigerian companies that went with us into the guided trade initiatives. One of such success story is Lelouk, represented here by its dynamic CEO, Madam Nzenwa. She's going to come up, so you're going to see her. She became the first Nigerian company among 10 pilot companies under the GTI to receive the AfCFTA Certificate of Origin. So our certificate is number 00001. And deliberately, we chose her because she's a female entrepreneur. And we know when women drive trade, trade gets driven. Now, this milestone demonstrates not only our company's readiness to take advantage of AfTA, but also Nigeria's leadership in pioneering trade under this framework. Leluc has just come back, she's going to tell us, from the Baishara Africa Summit in Kigali, where she and other Nigerian companies delivered an impressive performance for Nigeria, showing a capacity to compete at the international level. This was our fare in even signing the AfTA agreement. You realize we didn't sign initially because many companies were Nigerian companies, manufacturers, industrialists, were complaining that they didn't want Nigeria to become a dumping ground for other products from all over the world, until we had the impact assessment from impact readiness. We went all over Nigeria and were able to let the manufacturers and industrialists see that it is your own advantage, really. You must take charge of AfTA. The same way as Germany and France are in the EU, the same way Nigeria and the big countries must be in AfTA. Even with Brexit, the EU is still very strong. That shows you the power of trade. So my recommendations, I just have three, is one, capacity building and awareness. We must help Nigerian businesses, particularly SMEs, a comprehensive capacity building program to understand AfTA's framework, rules of origin, market opportunities. Knowledge is power. When you know about it, then you take advantage of it. Then we must scale up production. I've always said the most important thing for the Nigerian economy, particularly at this stage, is productivity. We must just ramp up production in every level of the economy, in the agribusiness, in farming, in scaling up even our commodities and taking advantage of the huge population we have. If we're not taking advantage of this population, we're just going around saying we're the biggest population in Africa. What does that do for me? What does that do for a man who says, I have 30 children, and none of them are in school, none of them are producing? What does it mean? I'm the giant of Africa. What are you producing to make you that giant? And that's why the whole economy must go back to that productive element that we used to have. When you produce, you create the jobs that you need for your citizens. Then you move people out of poverty. Other countries have done it, and it's possible. Strategic partnerships are also very important. Well, I made a joke talking about go and marry somewhere else. My wife must not hear that joke. So please don't broadcast that one. But you must collaborate with other companies. And the young ones, particularly the young entrepreneurs, they're doing that a lot. You see them on social media. You see them on Facebook. They are collaborating. They're getting Nigerian businesses, setting up in various countries, collaborating with them. Because the AfTA is a reciprocal agreement. As you export there, you must receive. This is what it's all about. So AfTA represents an unparalleled opportunity for growth, competitiveness, and stability. But it's up to us as businesses, policymakers, entrepreneurs to take bold actions and fully embrace the transformative power of this agreement. Let us trade, and trade. And Nigeria is ready to lead and will show it. And indeed, when Nigeria leads, Africa will rise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. When Nigeria leads, Africa will rise. It's important to know that the opportunities that have been presented by AfCFTA is that by virtue of the number of participating countries, that is 54 out of 55 African Union member states, we have the largest free trade area in the world. And so it's a huge opportunity. It's a continental market of 1.4 billion people and GDP of $3.4 trillion. And so I think we can't overemphasize the opportunities that this presents. The GTI, which he has spoken about, is an interim arrangement. Basically, what AfCFTA has done is how do we do a pilot phase to show that this trade area and this agreement is successful. So let me call up members or businesses that have been part of this GTI. It's interesting that it's only women. So I don't know, that speaks a lot to what the national coordinator has spoken. When women trade, a lot happens. I would like to call up first Ms. Florence Tomazia Kuso. She's the CEO of Mazia & Co. Enterprise, Ghana. She's the founder and CEO of Mazia Enterprise, a leading Ghanaian company specializing in agribusiness and export of high-quality agricultural products. She is renowned for her commitment to sustainable farming practices and empowering local farmers. Please welcome to the stage Ms. Florence Tomazia Kuso. Please clap, 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 clap. Welcome. The second person, known as 001, not your typical 001, OBO, but our own 001. She will say why she's called that. She's the CEO of Le Look Limited, a Nigerian company known for its innovative fashion designs and retail operations. She has been a driving force in the fashion industry, promoting Nigerian designs on the global stage. She has been an influential voice of, or at the GTI events, of course, being number one, where she has advocated for the creative industries and their role in economic diversification. Please welcome Mrs. Chinwe Ezenwa. Thank you. Then I have Mrs. Temitope Mayegun. She's the founder and managing director of Avila Natural Limited. She's a leading manufacturer of genuinely natural body care and household brands in Africa. She holds a BSc in accounting from the University of Lagos, and she's passionate about making a positive impact in the world through her unflinching commitment to right the wrongs in the society by promoting the use of safe, healthy, and natural skincare and food products as against its unhealthy equivalents. Please welcome Mrs. Temitope Mayegun. Finally, I have Ms. Chidinma Uzoma. She is the founder, CEO of Zayat Food. She is a performance-driven entrepreneur with over 9 years entrepreneurial experience, building Africa's largest healthy dairy company. She's a lawyer who has transitioned from defending human rights to revolutionizing the food industry as the founder of Zayat Food Company. Please welcome Ms. Chidinma Uzoma. Thank you very much, my esteemed panelists. I think we'll just start off. I don't even know how much time we have. We lost like 1 hour. But we can start off first. I would like to hear your stories around GTI. Maybe we'll start with 001. Stories around how did you look at the opportunities? How do you even find these opportunities? And how did you get on the GTI? And you know, how has it been for you in terms of, you know, success? Thank you. Is it on? Yes, on. Yeah.
Good morning, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be here, and I owe Hello. I'm very, very happy to be here. I owe my coming here to Chief Segun Awolowo. I don't think without him I would have been talking to any of you here, because he has handheld me since 2012 on the journey to export out of Nigeria, when he was the CEO of Nigerian Export Promotion Council. And he has followed our performance up till today. My name is Mrs. Chinwe Zenwa, the CEO and founder of Leluk Nigeria Limited since 1985. I'm 73 years old. And lately, I have also founded Leluk Bag Academy. That Leluk stems from the fact that I had a brother that could not talk, he couldn't hear. And when I came back from Canada, I said to him, "You are not going to be on the street begging. If you cannot hear and you cannot talk, you can look." So I created the name Leluk. Let me fast forward it because I'm not here. I'm not an economist. So I'm not very good at figures. But I listen to figures. I'm going to go to practical business. I've often told people that business is war, and you face enemies everywhere. It's left to you to arm yourself with the right gadgets to fight that war. And win or lose, it's all in your hands. So when I started off business, I knew it was not going to be fun. Going to Nigerian Export Promotion Council was the first biggest thing that happened to me. And meeting someone like Segun Awolowo did it all for me. I followed by all the things he had asked me to do, to register as an exporter, to do all the needful. But mind you, before I went there, I got my house ready. I'm into production of bags, any kind of bag, including body bags. So this is one of the bags. And most of you here are the clients of Leluk. We make bags for Nigerian Bar Association. We make bags for, you just name it, schools. So we have scaled up, thanks to him too. Because every single opportunity he had, he believed in what we could do. And we did it. We have been able to successfully open 2 factories, one in Lagos and one in Abuja, with an academy. Because when he started with AfCFTA, I said, if you don't train them, don't blame them. If you do not raise an army of people to face the African Free Continental Trade Area, what do you want to do? They will make you a dumping ground. So I decided to open an academy alongside with it, training women, youths, and people living with disability, so no one will be left behind. So today, he took us on a guided tour. They call GTI, because wherever he goes, I follow. Because he had a vision. Before he came there was nobody hearing about Nigerian export. Nobody. Now you hear export for survival. Somebody started it. So I followed him. I said, "Oga, what is this GTI?" He told me. I followed. So they ran after us. It requires a lot of documentation. If you don't have the documentation, don't go there. Because your standards must be right. Your production must be up to the point. And we first of all got ETLS, so we trade freely with West African neighbors. Then they said, Mama, you can just go to Kenya. I said, wherever you want me to go, because already the look is all over the world. It is all over the world. Yes. Because when people come here on vacation, they buy one bag, they carry it there. When people are looking for money to pay their children's school fees in pounds, they come pack our bags, they are selling it in London. When people are looking for souvenirs for weddings and whatever, they pack our bags and they go there. So it's everywhere. Our bag, incidentally, is in Australia. A lady told me when she met me in Kigali, I knew your bags before I met you. And now I want you to export it to me in Australia. So, guided trade initiatives, it had its own challenges, but I do not dwell on challenges. Because that certificate 001 he gave to me was a certificate of prosperity. Yes. So I thank you for inviting me here, and I'm ready to share my experience if you come and attend my school at Le Luc Bag Academy. Thank you.
Fantastic. A round of applause, please. So she talks about documentation. Do you want to tell us your story around documentation, the GTI, and most especially how maybe your business has grown, being that you have been operating out of Ghana?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer for inviting me to represent Ghana. You know, I'm the only one from Ghana here. Thank you so much. And I promise I'm not going to talk about the bed jollof rice between Ghana and Nigeria. Okay, so when it comes to documentation, it's not quite difficult. You need to get the right information. So in Ghana, I've done a lot in terms of implementation of the AfCFTA. You have the national coordination of AfCFTA. Then we go close to them. You have to know the country you want to export your product to and know the requirement. Then they will support you with the requirement you need to do. What is also good, they are able to build a platform in partnership with ITC, whereby you put the product you want to export into, let's say in Kenya, for instance, you put, we do into honey, dry fruits, cashew, other agro-processing products. So I'll just give an example of honey. So I just put honey in the platform, and then he'll give me like an idea about the demand in Kenya, and also give me the HS code. So the HS code are gonna generate the duty I'm gonna pay when the product gets to Kenya, okay? So basically that's what we'll be doing in Ghana. And we do a lot of capacity building in partnership with ITC, UNDP, GIZ, to train a lot of SMEs, enable them to be export ready, to know the requirement. Sorry. What you're trying to do also, Ghana was able to partner with Kenya to have harmonization of certification. So when it comes to when you have your product from, when I'm into food industry, so I'll talk about food. So when you want to export your product to Kenya, for instance, you just need your certificate of analyst from Ghana, and then you'll be accepted in Kenya as well. So yeah, we are doing a lot of work when it comes to documentation, yeah.
Okay, and can we hear from you, Mrs. Mayegom? How has this affected your, so, you know, most businesses is about the bottom line, right? How much are we making? So when people hear, you know, in intra-Africa trade, you know, what is it in numbers, even if you can give us an idea? How has GTI exposed your business in terms of building capacity, right? With people, but also, you know, improving your bottom line. So what is your story around there?
All right, thank you very much. I heard about AfCFTA through OWIT. I'm a member of OWIT, organization.
Can you tell us what OWIT is?
Organization of Women in International Trade. So when I heard about it, I Googled, and one thing about me, I'm very, very, when it comes to new thing like that, I want to really know, I want to really be part of it. So I searched their address online, and I saw that it was Abuja. So I came to Abuja. Fortunately, we met Mr. Olutayo, and he told me that it's really, really a good opportunity. That was my first time of meeting him. And he asked me about so many things about the business. I told him that we started from 30,000, that the business worth billions now. We have about 4 factories, we have 450 products. And he was like, are you really ready to trade? I said, yes, I'm ready. Do you have the factory? Yeah. Do you have the standard procedure and everything? I said, yes. We have quality control, quality assurance department. And so I filled the form. I got approval for inspection. They came all the way from Abuja to Lagos, and I really want to appreciate the AfCFTA team, and especially the Mr. Olowo for his input. He called them all through their inspection. He even did a video call with us, and everybody was happy that, okay, let's harness this opportunity. After I went to Ghana twice. I went to Kenya rather. And I saw a lot of opportunities in Kenya. I met people that are willing to buy our products, but the duties and the bottlenecks at the border end was the issue, because there was a time I exported and so many products got damaged, and I didn't like the experience. That was to Kenya. So I told my people that let's take this opportunity, this GT opportunity, let's really look at it. So we did our market research, because it is very important. If you are going to trade with people in Kenya, you need to build relationship. Business is relationship, like Mr. Olowo said jokingly. So I went to Kenya rather. We have an office too in Ghana. So that's what I'm mentioning, Ghana. So I met women, and they are ready to take our products. They told me that, okay, we want your black soaps, we want your shea butter, we want your body scrub. And after the market research, I told them that I'm ready for AfCFTA trade, and we got the certificate of origin. So for the first time, somebody was willing to take a container of products from me. That's about 30-something thousand pieces of my products. And from our BCG report, we realized that for that particular product, it could take us up to 2 years. Yes, to sell up to that unit. So it was a great opportunity. The person she told me to send the agreement, and she got the warehouse. That was even the height of it. She got the warehouse, and she said, Avila, bring your products. So when I got there, I started looking at what I can also import, because I'm also doing a research on perfume. So I realized that Mombasa in Kenya, they also have perfume ingredients there. So that when my container is going to Kenya, it won't come back empty. I can also buy some of their own ingredients and bring to Nigeria. So it's been a great opportunity, So the platform has really exposed me and the business to a lot of platforms. Like the last Biashara conference we went for, I got like 9 off-takers from 9 countries.
Wow.
From Egypt. In fact, Egypt sent her order yesterday, and I was like, let me just complete. She sent her order yesterday. Even Ethiopia, Zambia, they bought a lot of samples from us, and all the products we went with for exhibition were sold out, because they were like, they kept looking at the uniqueness of our product, that they would like to really trade with us on this platform. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm really, really excited about it, especially the aspect of now meeting women from different countries willing to buy from me, take products, and I'm also willing to buy, like I bought leather shoes from some women. They make shoes. So I told them that, okay, let me buy 2. If it's good enough, if it's something you can sell in Nigeria, you can also export. So it's a very, very good opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, round of applause, please. I think that these success stories are very, very exciting. So, capacity building, I feel what you've talked to is backward integration, so we're also training some SMEs. And then you've talked to strategic partnerships and, the thing about exchange. Okay, fantastic stories. But we also have a new kid on the block. She's just about to start her onboarding process. And we would like to hear from you, a lawyer turned, agric or dairy farmer. Tell us a bit about the onboarding process. So she said, business is war, right? She's had her own, challenges, but the opportunities, 34,000 units being exported. And I mean, she couldn't sell all of that here in Nigeria, but there's an off-taker for her. So for you, how has the process been? Tell us a bit about that. Oh, sorry. Part of the strategic partnership is holding on to your national coordinator, because she talked about the Ghanaian one, and working hand in hand with government. And I think we must, applaud our national coordinator, because he seems to have handheld businesses all the way in, even being part of the review process. So please tell us about your own experience onboarding.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and this has been an amazing conversation so far. The stories are beautiful. Madam Chinwen's story, her story. I'd like to speak, from the outside, right? Now, as a company who hasn't started the process yet, I've heard about GTI, and it's like a pilot phase of all of this. And I think, or for us, what it is basically is going through all our platforms and ensuring that we're seizing the opportunities that are available on this platform. One of those platforms is Faith Foundation. And I'll use this opportunity to say that businesses who are trying to get into this process really need to understand that at the heart of business is relationships. And if you're, as a business owner, if you're not able to create and foster relationships that matter, we won't be able to have this type of conversations. So one of the things that we're doing at Zyth is ensuring that we're leveraging all the important relationships that has been afforded to us, one of which is Faith Foundation, like I mentioned. And now, of course, I'm knowing that I need to hold Mr. Awolowo's hand and hold it very tight. But yeah, so being curious about things that we hear. So now we're hearing about AfCFTA, and personally, as a business owner, the first thing I would do, or the first thing that I do, is try to find out more information about it. Who should I talk to? Who has been in it? I sat down with my Ghanaian sister, and I was having an amazing conversation with her about what the process has been for her. So it's nice to hear these things, but if you're not actively being curious and trying to find out more opportunities, you would be left on the sidelines. And something else I would also say is most times, and like I said, I'm speaking from the outside, businesses have this sort of apathy and indifference when they hear of new things like this. So, someone and think, oh, this is another thing that doesn't work, right? And if we're being honest, we won't blame them. So I think it's also on this other side to see how well we can educate this. See, I know the NPC is doing a lot, but I think that there is room for more. How well can we educate? How well can we create more awareness? Social media is a huge platform now. I would love that things like this, opportunities like this, are put on social media platforms, and the information is made open, right? And success stories like this are shared a lot more. She's talking about sending a container of her products. Any business person really would be excited to hear that, and hear that from a fellow business person, and this is not scripted. So the process really is also just understanding and being curious to find out more information about all of this, which is what we're doing, and making more inquiries, asking questions, being in rooms like this, and trying to seize the opportunities as much as possible. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Salient point there on communicating the stories. Because I think that there's always a gap between how well, like this partnership with government and how well this trade is going, and then, the opportunities. So people tend to see what the rest of people will say. Oh, how do we can't even transport ourselves across borders. So how can we take our trades and services? So I will pose a question to Leluc. What would you say are the potential risks that you have seen as a business in AfCFTA? And tell me what you used, or what how could you mitigate this risk that you pose? Just one risk that you've seen, and how were you able to mitigate this risk?
Well, the first risk that I encountered was with customs. It was with customs. But then I decided, like I said, I've always known that business is war. So I decided to go to their conference, one of the conferences they organized, where I will be able to speak my mind. And I got there and I spoke my mind. And from there, they invited me through Smedan to come to another conference they had, where they were proposing to have what they call Authorized Economic Operator Conference. So I went to that conference. And there we met with the World Customs Body, the World Bank, and all the people that has anything to do with customs all over the world. So from there, I narrated my issue with customs. And then they enrolled me in that program. So getting information is key. Don't forget, business is war. So you need to collect intelligence reports. Yes. So I now enrolled, and they came to do what they call auditing. Who exactly is Leluc? They went and they will turn your stomach inside out, because they want to know that you are doing a legitimate business.
Yes.
So when they had visited our two factories and did all kinds of due diligence, we were one of the first to be awarded AEO status, Authorized Economic Operator status. So with that, we have a green line. The Nigerian customs has become our mouthpiece to other customs. So we don't have any problem now. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think what's standing out from our CEOs here is intention, right? If you want something, you go for it. So Madame Leluc had seen a problem with customs, and she went to their conference and she voiced her concern. And then information came out, right? That there is an association or a certification you need from customs. You know what the green line is? I don't know if you travel, you know green line, no goods to declare. It's almost like you're free to go with customs. And she has that now, and customs is now her advocate with other customs in other countries. So I think that one thing standing out, intention, information, and then action. Fantastic. And that's how she managed her risk. To you, I would like to ask, she's mentioned the institution. How can we get government to support? So institutions in government. So here in Nigeria, we'll have customs, you will have the Nigerian Exporting Promotion Council, you will have many other agencies that are in this business of exporting and trade. So how do we ensure that we have support, or how can we get these institutions to work for the businesses to enhance trade?
Thank you for your question. For me personally, I take AfCFTA as a way for businesses in Africa to connect. And then how do you connect? You need the right information. You need to speak up, okay? So my journey on the AfCFTA started 2 years ago, where my company was privileged and selected by the Cameroon businesses, and I partnered with a Cameroonian company whereby I imported goods from Cameroon to Ghana, and I was literally the first person in Ghana who did that. And it wasn't easy because it's new. And it has never happened to us in Africa before, this type of agreement. It's new for us. And for them to come on board, we have to go to the National Coordination of AfCFTA to get their support. As my mommy said, the custom, most of them don't have the information, and it's new. Then I have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, I win. And then I was able to clear the goods. So how do you get them on board? Later when I finished clearing the goods and everything, I did, as she said, you need to use social media. So I used social media. I did a post on it. If you go and check my name, you see it down there. Then I did a post on it and I spoke about their challenges, their advantages. And that post got about 2,000 views. And people were calling me from everywhere. I want to know more about AfCFTA, what's the agreement, I want to trade about. Like, it was amazing. So after that, I got this recognition that we need to support businesses to trade under the AfCFTA. So what do you need is more like awareness, training, and as a business owner, you need to speak up. You can't keep quiet. Because at the end of the day, it's going to, the policymakers are there to write policies. We are the implementers.
Yes.
So to bring them on board, you need to speak. Simple.
And I think that's what NESG is doing by the CEO Roundtable, basically saying, let's hear out what the issues are. They're like the bridge between the public-private sector. And it's important also that we also have government here in the national coordinator. So it's important that also he hears some of the risk and then there could be a multi-sector collaborative approach to ensuring that the teething problems of AfCFTA can be addressed. I come to you, and I want to ask, because you talked about capacity building, and I want to add to that infrastructure, because she's also talked to physical infrastructure, but we also have the soft infrastructure, things around payment and all. So how can we address these gaps in terms of how do we ensure that we are ready? Because we've talked about readiness here, researching, knowing what to export, what to import, and to ensure that we are adequately in line with HSC, that's what you called it, right?
HS code.
HS code, right, good. So how do we address this infrastructure and capacity building gaps? What sort of collaborative actions do you think we should take going forward?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so now the beauty of AfCFTA is that it's not just for businesses, right, or for businesses like our businesses. It opens up an entire ecosystem. So what that means is because companies like us can trade outside of Nigeria, that means we need payment infrastructure, we need distributors, we need everything that makes it work so smoothly. Last week I was at the tech conference in Lagos, and someone was pitching his company to me, and they help They help African businesses do intra-African payments. And I thought it was very brilliant. But then if we don't do business in Kenya and Ghana, then that doesn't really make sense to me. But now that we have AfCFTA and we can do all of that type of business, then this opens up business for payment companies. It opens up businesses for distribution companies. So the type of collaboration that would help or that would foster, that would help us achieve what we're supposed to achieve is, first of all, distributors. Finding distributors in these countries. So finding collaborations. I think recently we had someone from an African country, I can't remember it right now, reach out to us and say, oh, they would like to be a distributor. So finding those type of relationships would really go a long way. And then logistics. For businesses, logistics is like at the core of whatever we're doing. And like I also said, it opens up an entire ecosystem. So you now have people or businesses in logistics trying to open up offices or trying to offer services to other African countries, logistics services to other African countries. For my business, we do yogurt, so that's more like a coaching kind of logistics. As it is now, it's difficult to find a reliable coach in logistics in Nigeria. But I would imagine that once we start looking outside of Nigeria, it would be easier to find established businesses in cold chain logistics that we can leverage on. So building relationships with distributors, building relationships with logistics companies, with payment companies, even with HR setup, all of that. So that's the beauty of AfCFTA, and those are the type of collaborations that I think would really go a long way.
Fantastic. Thank you. So there's a whole ecosystem
Exactly.
around the agreement that
Yes.
should be leveraged on.
Yes.
Now, I just wanted to throw out to the audience, how many of us here are international business people? And that means that you've been doing trade across borders. Show of hands. Show of hands. Okay, so every other person here is aspiring. Okay, so I would ask, you have people here who are interested in trade. What is one key thing you would say to them to encourage them to get on the GTI? Say you just had 5 seconds to say, come join us, or, what is that one thing you're telling people here that are interested in being part of the AfCFTA, agreement? How do they get on? No, what is it? How can they do it?
Not giving up,
Okay,
be determined, and be consistent.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Don't give up, be determined, be consistent. Okay, we'll take questions, maybe 3 questions. A show of hands, if you would like to ask. Do we have ushers? And, okay. I'll start with the gentleman. You have a question? Okay, and then, yes, I saw your hand come up. Anyone behind? Because that's you. Okay. Okay. Short and sharp. We don't want, a typical Nigerian way. You want to introduce, say something, your product and all of that. I will stop you if you start. So short and just ask questions if you had, any particular. So I'll start with, there's a gentleman here, please. Yes. In the filler.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
You can tell us your name, please.
Okay, my name is Shola. I'm the MD of Veil Finance Limited. So my question is to Mr. Olo. How does services, I see the panel talking a lot about goods, but what's the place of services in the AfCFTA arrangement? And how can people who are into services benefit from this? Thank you.
Mr. Wolowo. So goods, yeah? But he's saying services. How do services benefit from?
Thank you. Trade, one of the second protocol on AfCFTA is actually the protocol on services. And we're looking at the digital economy. That's really the biggest. It's a $1.4 trillion economy that we must just get into. And we think Nigeria believes that we're really going to leverage on this. because of our youthful population, of our fintech industries, of our creative industries, of our banks, and all that. So that's going to be big. The concentration was on the GTI, which is really on trade of products, manufactured products. And it's not only women that we have, that the ones we invited, but Dangote is also trading under the GTI. We have another company that has Secure ID that are doing SIM cards from Nigeria to which country? Cameroon. So we have all that, but we are preparing so much for the services industry, because that's really where the big money is and strength is. Let me just talk on the customs, because Madam Liluk mentioned it. For years, I have always argued that the Nigerian Customs Service has been treated as an revenue generating agency. That's what we use our customs for. You hear, customs have made this money in Apapa port. Customs have made this money in the Badagry port. Tracing of imports, generally imports. But I've always felt that the customs service must be a trade facilitation agency. And that's where we're getting to now. And that's the advantage Madam Liluk is capitalizing on. By the customs changing track and looking at how to actually help exporters out of Nigeria. The whole ecosystem of Nigerian exports have been geared towards importing. Even our NPA, our immigration, our airports, it's all about receiving goods. So now we're telling them, look, do whatever you can and help exporters take their own goods out. So it's changing. The narrative is changing. So this is a perfect time to get into this. Let me add again on the payment system she mentioned. Now, the Afri-Exim Bank is the lead, practically I will say, the lead agency in Africa driving inter-African trade. And they're doing it very well. They have so many initiatives coming out from Cairo that will help us drive this. One of such is the Pan-African payment system. Now, what that means is that Madam Liluk, for example, she's selling her goods to you in Ghana. What Madam Liluk wants is money. It's value for money. She's not looking for yuan. She's not looking for even dollars. She's not looking for this. I have goods. It's 600 million naira. I'm sending it to you. Pay me. What I want is 600 million naira. Now, you want to pay her 600 million naira. You don't want to now start looking for dollars at different rates. You sit at your central bank, you probably won't get it maybe for 1 year. You're applying. You're not. But what you want is to pay her at 600 million naira. So you register, you're under the Pan-African payment system. Your banks are registered under it. So you just tell your bank in Ghana, pay Madam Liluk 600. So you give your bank the CDs, she collects a naira. What does that do for our economy, for our currencies? It strengthens them. Because you are not looking to change that currency all the time. Countries have survived like this, not looking for the almighty US dollar or the euro. They survive. They're okay. I won't mention some countries because I don't want to get into a political debate. But it's happening. But this mad quest for dollars, for everybody is looking for. You want to sell, Avila wants to sell her share butter. Or she wants to buy from, what country? You wanted to buy from Egypt. So you are looking for dollars you're applying, you're going to the black market looking for it. But when you can just go into a payment system and that
then just
eases
use
your
it.
way.
Fantastic.
So things are happening.
Yeah.
These are
Thank you.
interesting times. So take
Round
advantage
of
of
applause.
it.
So
Thank you
what's
very
very
much.
important, I think, when we leave here is that government is saying that it can be done. And so it's a strategic partnership now to hold on to Mr. Segun Awolowo. Unfortunately, we've run out of time and we have to close because you guys have to go for lunch. So we just have about 3 minutes. So I'm just going to ask so sorry we can't take questions, but afterwards you can just meet with them and ask questions. I think the 4 ladies and then our national coordinator. So I would say in 10 seconds, what message, what collaborative, just one action, what do we need to do to get more people on GTI across Africa?
Thank you for your question. As I said earlier on, AfCFTA is a way to connect Africans to do business together. Recently, I was in Namibia. I met Momi in Namibia. We met again in Abuja. We didn't really plan it. So it's an opportunity for us to take advantage. No, don't just say, okay, it's not possible. You need to take advantage of this AfCFTA agreement and start working for now. Don't just wait like the government to come and do it for you. No, it's we. We are the backbone of the economy.
Fantastic. Okay, so one collaborative action. So she's saying on the part of the entrepreneurs, take action, move. What about you? One collaborative action. How can we get more people on board GTI?
Okay, so I think something we can do
5 seconds,
is work on regaining the trust. And that would be through sharing stories like this. Like I mentioned earlier, leveraging social media. Let people know that this is real, that this is not just another initiative, that doesn't work, quote unquote.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. So telling our stories, that's very important.
Yeah, we
Madam,
need to keep
5
talking
seconds.
about after. We need to let
Okay.
people know, create more awareness, and let them know that it's real. Because a lot of people don't believe it. They feel that it's something that is not
It's
possible.
not possible.
So Africa for Africa, all the resources are here. We have the human resources, we have the raw materials, so we can trade within ourselves.
Okay, and then we end with 001. Tell us, just in 5 seconds, how do we jump onto GTI? How do we start trading across Africa? To the entrepreneurs in the room.
I will say to each one, teach one.
To each one, teach one. Thank you very much for being a great audience. Thank you for joining us for this session. And then we're going to have a... Thank you, everyone. A round of applause, please, for our esteemed panelists. Thank you.